on a Friday. I did take one trade yesterday on POLA. POLA, this one right here caught my attention, and I was looking. Actually, no, I'm just gonna pull up the recording here. So I got the recording here of yesterday's trade, and this level on the daily chart around the 137 was the point that I was looking at. One, there was huge orders sitting on the bid at 137, and also during the 15 minute, if you look on the 15 minute here from yesterday, you can see where it came down to this level before and tested. The only issue with trading these lower price stocks is support and resistance does not bounce like, if you're trading a higher price stock. Higher price stock, it hits that support and it gives you, 10, 20, 30 cent bounce off of support, especially obvious support. And that was my issue yesterday with POLA. It came down to this level, and I'll go ahead and fast forward it. I was looking around, looking for it to test that level and kind of get through it. It pushed through that level, which is what I like to see, and I entered. Now, that was my entry right there when you see the P pop up. That's my entry, and I'm in there with, at that time, I had 2,000 shares right there at the 137, right on the bottom. Then it came up, and I was like, okay, and I added some more around here. It kept holding at 137. I saw some huge orders coming in here at 137, so I took 4,000 shares. And so I kept watching it. It kept playing around the 137. So I was like, okay, keeps holding this 137. I may end up adding some more. So I kept watching it around 137. It pushed down a little bit, and I added 500 more shares on this little dip, looking for it to continue. And you can look at the level twos. The 130 was where the size just wouldn't break, right down there. And I was like, okay, cool. And after this nice little rundown on the 15 minute, I was like, okay, this thing is looking pretty good. And so it continues to hold 135, and I added some more. You can see my quantity going up. I have 4,775 shares there, and I kept adding right under that 137, and this is when it started to get the pop. Now, this is where I got stupid, right? Because I have 5,000 shares, right? And every cent is 50 bucks. But me being greedy, me, let's see what happens. So it went up 1 cent. I'm up $50. Cool. I was looking for 10 cents of profit, right? I had my limit orders, and you'll see me put my limit orders out. From 137, it would be 147 for a 10-cent profit, right? So I'm waiting. It continues to play around the 137, continues to play around, and it fakes down a little bit. And I'm like, okay, as long as it holds this, at that time, the bottom here was 133. I was like, that's where my stop was going to be. That's where my mental stop was, but that's where my hard stop was going to go in if this thing started to act funny. And so I see this thing just play around, stay right around that 35, 137. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if this price level is something that is good, people will come in and buy at this level and protect my entry. So it continues to play. I give it some more time, continues to play. And eventually it almost breaks down. And I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll go ahead and get ready to stop out if it breaks down this level that's still sitting out here on the 130, right? So it continues to play, gets a little green here, and it's taking forever in this trade. I mean, I'm like 137 should have broke by now. I don't know about this. And I'm looking over here on the hour chart over here, and you can see this huge descending. We can see the shorts are winning, and I'm just looking for the reprieve cover. That's all I'm looking for, that little pop-up, or so I say. And so if it plays around 137, plays around, and finally starts popping, right? And this is where I'm up 300 whatever dollars. It's only a 6 cent win. I'm looking for 10 cents, right? 10 cents, ready to go. And so it pops up there 40s, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let it do its thing, let it do its thing, and it gets shoved all the way back down to the 137. This is where I was like, okay, this thing may be super weak at this point. I don't know if I can trust this stock anymore, because if it's a good jump like that, it'll keep going. And so it gets pushed back down to the 137, which was my entry. I'm still holding. I'm not that out of it because it's above my break even, right? And so it's just kind of taking its time, taking its time. And I'm like, I'm gonna give it time to actually open a candle above the 140s. That's what I was looking for. Open a candle above 140s. It starts coming down here. And again, I'm like, okay, this is true weakness now. Looking at how it's got pushed back down to the 137, and I'm not liking it. So give it a little bit of time, waiting for it to. Now this is where I put in my stop loss as well at the 33, at the 133. So that will be a 3 cent risk. That's 150 bucks on 5,000 shares. And so you're gonna see that stop a S pop up here when I put my stop in at the 133 right here. So had my stop in there ready to go, 3 cent risk, and just letting it play above that risk. And it ends up going back up to the 137, getting another push there, but just could not go. 137 just being stubborn. And I'm looking for this thing to have an open candle above 137. And at this point, I moved my stop up right at break even at the 136, because I was like, okay, if this thing snaps down, I need to be out, because the way the 137 is holding resistance, I don't want to play with it, right? And so as you can see right here, my stop price 136 for 5,000 shares, already ready to go, looking for this thing to either push or get me out. And it just could not push, and it broke down right there, and it broke down right at break even. Now this was a good fill, because I only lost 1 cent. It was 1 cent of slippage there that I got, so it was a $45 loss overall. And I'm okay with a $45 loss, because in the overall picture, if every trade that I'm taking is giving me $200-$300, I'm looking forward to the next 50 100 trades, and I know what I'm looking for. And on this one, I just really expected this thing to get up a little bit more, but it just couldn't. So whatever, I just let it go and didn't even worry about it anymore. And it did end up breaking down, so breaking down to the 132s right there. And it ended up actually going up to 150 in power hour. But I wanted it, if it was going to be strong during a midday. The problem is, during power hour, they don't have a lot of time left to actually get some real trading from traders that are still in the market. If they're going to go, they'll go earlier in the day, because people are interested, especially before lunchtime, right? And so I was looking for it to get up and go before people are ready for lunch. But it did not. It fell back. And so yesterday was a red day of $45.69 there. So whatever. I was frustrated because I was looking for this thing to be strong, and I didn't take anything, because I was like, I don't want to sell at a low point if it's going to get up, right? But it did not. So I just managed the risk while in the trade. And the news, two things. The news was not the greatest. There were stocks that were doubling and tripling the volume, and this was a sub $2 stock. So usually, based on what I've seen in my trading with sub $2 stocks, I lose majority of times. So I'm like, okay, let me buy as low as I can and keep a tight stop, because if this thing wants to drop down, I don't want to be losing a lot. I can size into this thing because it's cheap, but if it goes against me, I'm out. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut the loss pronto. And I mean, I just had to think through it while I was in the trade. It was doing a lot of wishy-washy stuff, and I was like, okay, you're not gonna be the one today. Okay, I'm gonna keep this stop tight. But this is pretty much what I'm looking for on a higher higher float stock that is holding some gains on the day, looking for that pop back up to retest some of those highs, but we just could not get there yesterday due to the environment that it was in. But that was my POLA trade from yesterday, and I mean, $45 loss. But like I put in the Discord, I'm like, okay, so I was up 368, and I ended the day down $45. So I gave back a bunch of gains because I was stubborn. I really wanted 10 cents. I really wanted 10 cents. I was like, yo, give me 10 cents, I'll be out. But it's whatever. Another lesson learned, but still green on the month. Um, and just taking my time and trying to stay away from some of those lower price movers, because they give you the opportunity to size up. That's the first thing. You're thinking, okay, I can size up. This thing is cheap, and I can get a great trade on this. But overall, the quality and the value of the stock always matters. And also what else is going on in the market always matters. So, you know, I was like, look, if I'm not going to get 10 cents, I'm not going to give up 1 cent. you know, I'm like, at this size, 5,000 shares, every cent being 50 bucks, if I lose 14 cents, that's 700 bucks. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not paying those bills like that. I'm not paying somebody else's bills like that. But yeah, anyway, back up here to what's going on today.